Hey everyone, there's been a lot of misinformation regarding the ability to build stadiums for the Oakland Raiders and the Oakland Athletics privately in a privately financed way. A couple of articles by newspaper people who really don't know and then lean toward professors who have access to regarding what they believe is the constant use of public money have served to advance this misinformation and create a total climate of confusion regarding what is doable. The simple fact of the matter is a stadium for the Oakland Raiders at the Coliseum and a stadium for the Oakland Athletics at the Coliseum can be financed within a structure centered around industrial development lease revenue bond issues. What I'm talking about is not theory. It is not fantasy. It has been done many times before for different projects around the United States. Here's how it would work specifically in the context of Coliseum City. And I drew this diagram to help. I'm going to wait until it becomes clear. There it is, okay? What we have here is the Joint Powers Authority. I don't know if you can see that right there or not, but that's the joint. This is the I'll use my pen so that you can see it better because I think, yeah, this is the JPA right here, okay? And the way this works, you have the JPA and then the Coliseum City structure project itself right here, okay? Then here we have a corporation, basically. This is a corporation. Here is what's called a bond trustee, and these are bond holders. So the way this works is like this, all right? The Oakland Raiders, the Oakland Athletics, the City of Oakland, and a hotel developer would form an LLC, a limited liability corporation. That limited liability corporation would own Coliseum City. They would collect all of the revenues from Coliseum City. That includes ticket surcharges in the A's case, personal seat license in the Raiders case, a portion of hotel revenues, an NFL G4 loan, Major League Baseball loan. They would collect all of that. All of that. Meanwhile, what they will do in their relationship with the JPA would be that the JPA would be the issuer of bonds. Okay? So the title to Coliseum City here would be held by the JPA, not the corporation, but by the JPA, and then in turn the bond trustee would be responsible for collecting the monies here from the company. The bond trustee would have the first mortgage on the property right here. See that? So you've got the JPA owning title to land, and this relationship would continue over the 40-year period until the bonds are paid off, right? So over that time, this relationship exists, follow me? And the company is paying money to the bond trustee, which could be any reputable national company. There are many of them that can serve as the bond trustee. Now, in turn, the bond trustee and its team sells bond holders on the idea of buying portions of the bond. They could be bond holders like CalPERS, the California Public Retirees Corporation, or any other institutional investor. They could be smaller investors in bonds like you and me. These are the bond holders. So we in turn buy the bonds through the bond trustee. Meanwhile, the bond trustee is collecting on an annual basis the debt service from the company that's produced from Coliseum City. Got it? Now what happens if there's a default? A default basically means that not enough money is coming from the company to pay off the bonds that have been issued by the Joint Powers Authority here. And remember, our bond trustee owns the first mortgage on them. JPA has the title, but the first mortgage is held by the bond trustee, right? So the bond trustee says, hey, I've got a problem here. I'm going to take your property. This is the worst case scenario. Again, this is a worst case scenario, all right? Now, in that instance, as you can see right down here, all right, default, foreclosure. What happens is that you foreclose on Coliseum City, so the bond trustee winds up owning Coliseum City and sells it off to pay off the obligation to make sure that the bondholders are paid. So that's how it works. Note that at no time in this diagram is there a situation where the City of Oakland or the County of Alameda winds up paying either a public subsidy or some kind of public money to cover a default. This is industrial development lease revenue bond issue law. This is a federal law allowed through the tax system. It's been used to pay for everything from plants to ski resorts, you name it. But the reason why it works in this case, and it's not commonly done for stadiums, is that the law as it's currently written frowns on the single use for a stadium alone. That is why I put the hotel issue in here, and that is also why I put the retail issue in here, and that's why I also asked for an option, a provision to sell part of the hotels that are in Coliseum City here as condominiums, as housing, but not many, for cost reasons, construction cost reasons. But the bottom line is, with the kind of mix of uses we have here, and with new California legislation favoring developments of this kind with respect to tracking environmental impact report filings, thanks to Governor Brown, this project becomes doable, this kind of project. And the hotel is key because in my spreadsheets, the hotel throws off over $330 million of revenue that is about equal to what the Raiders claim that they need to finance a $900 million project. Something else, too, that should be remembered here. In my spreadsheets, the Oakland Athletics baseball stadium, because of its $500 million cost, and yet $778 million in revenue it generates over a 40-year period. This is a 40-year bond period. This is the maximum allowed under the law for industrial development bonds. Because of that, there is an enormous bond surplus for the A side alone. For the Raiders side, it's just about $238 million, assuming a $900 million stadium cost. But let's say Mr. Davis agreed to leave the east side with about 30 or 35 million in upgrades. Then we have even more bond money left over that would guarantee against default, and also we would have enough money to buy out the County of Alameda's side of Coliseum ownership if that were pegged at around $150 million, $120 million, or $150 million. I personally think it's a waste of time to X the county out in that way. I think it's money that doesn't necessarily need to be spent. I think it's a waste of money, $120 million or $150 million to pay for a problem that occurred because you had elected officials that couldn't get along with each other, where we've had, by contrast, many examples of Oakland and Alameda County officials getting along each other in the past and getting things done. $150 million is pouring money down the drain for basically what is, I say, juvenile behavior. It should not be allowed by the taxpayer. But I digress. The bottom line is I say this. Folks, this is doable. This can be done. And I'm going to keep talking about it. And I'm going to keep talking about it until it's started. We can do this. And no one should come up and just say we can't to satisfy their own ego or their own biases or prejudices, or for that matter, their own stupid, immature issues with me. The bottom line is this. We can do this. We can do this, and the taxpayer would not have to worry about a thing.